It's time to wake up, witches. I'm your host, Kat Adams, and I'm here to remind you that no matter where you're at in life, you're not stuck. All right. Today is a very special day because I have a very special guest with me, and it is my BFF, Xtina. And just full disclosure, we have drinks. We've already had drinks previously, so I'm not sure how this is going to go because I absolutely have no idea what I'm doing. And I think she can agree with me. She absolutely has no idea what she's doing. But hopefully it'll all come together and you can get some motivation and some knowledge and wisdom out of her nuggets. And that sounds weird, but we're going to keep that in there and go with that. So let me tell you a little bit about Xtina and my friendship. I met her probably around 12 years ago when the Just Mommies forums were the thing to do when you got pregnant, you had kids. They had these different forums that was like, hey, if you're delivering in April 2015, start here. And so it was basically a group of moms who came together to talk about all the shit they were going through and bond through our pregnancy, but then also keep in touch throughout the years of our kids' childhood. And that group eventually moved to Facebook. And so we had, different moms from different areas, and Xtina and I, we kind of just hit it off. And so we had met a couple times in person. And so she has been with me through thick and thin over the course of, like I said, about 12 years now. So she saw like the divorce, she saw my marriage, and she is the only person who actually supported me and stuck by me through all that bullshit. Like I had best friends who lived 5 minutes away, and they never offered me the same support that Xtina offered me, and she lives states away. And we're going to get into that, but she was the only one that stuck through the whole divorce, stuck through all the trauma, stuck through my abuse, and didn't make me feel like shit about it. So if you are a friend who, to someone who is going through an abusive relationship and you're struggling with that, hopefully you can have some guidance here, because for me, I feel like this episode is going to be super worthwhile for both victim who is in this situation and friend who wants to support someone in this situation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Xtina and ask her the first question. And like I said, this is my first interview. This might sound like shit. We're a little bit tipsy, but we're going to have fun. We're going to have an authentic conversation. And we're just going to have a good time and be real. So, and this might, you know what? Let's just calm our nerves and say this might never see the light of day. I might never put this on the internet. So that might make us feel a little bit better.
Not so awkward.
Okay. So let's breathe. All right. I have a couple questions here.
All right.
Yes. So the first one, and feel free to elaborate. Tell us however you feel, like anything, everything. I want us to be real. Like we're having a conversation here with drinks around the fire pit. We're doing our thing. So if I did not tell you what was going on in my marriage, would you have known? Were there any signs within me? And were there any signs when you came down here and visited from him that you would have known I was in an abusive relationship if I had not started to trust you and disclose that with you? Is there any thing that would have tipped you off?
No. And that's the thing about a lot of, I think, relationships that are in this situation. People, will post on Facebook or social media and everything seems fine. And had you not told me, I don't think I would ever known. I see you guys going on trips and hanging out and having fun. I met you, I met your ex, and there was nothing outwardly that I saw that would have ever told me. And it's interesting, that you had gone through that, because on a similar note, also a woman that I knew from Just Mommies, similar situation. She was married. She actually ended up not having a child, but her pets were her babies. And she was always posting about how great her husband was, how great their life was. And in the middle of the night, one night, he shot her and killed her. And it turns out that he was physically abusive to her, verbally, emotionally, to the point that she had no friends and no one. And, you look back and you're like, did I miss something? And, we see, pictures where she had some bruises and cuts and stuff on her arms. And we're like, well, yeah, maybe that was it. But you just don't realize, and you sometimes get caught up in your own life, that you don't necessarily see some of the things. But for you, I never saw anything. I mean, you did a pretty good job at covering it up, not letting anyone know there was stuff going on. And then when you told me, if I can remember back, the one time you told me that he put his hands on you, like, really badly. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what? And then, you opened up more, and then I kind of learned more throughout the years. So
I remember that because I think the time I came out was when I came out to a couple of people. It was with the Just Mommies group. We were on Facebook, and we had that other group that moved on. We branched out. We called ourselves, I'm not even going to say it. It was a bad name. Can't say it. I can't say it on the internet. It all came born from, like, this girl talking about her vibrator that died. And apparently some moms were offended by that. Some moms were like, that's hilarious as shit. So we broke off into the hilarious as shit group. And we all became even closer, Just Mommies. And one time, probably one of the peaks of my marriage was when we went on a trip. And I had, and just trigger warning for everyone, we got into an argument. It was stupid. It was basically, I asked to see his phone. I thought, hey, I think he's talking to someone, not me. I asked to see his phone, and he freaked out. He freaked out, and punched me in my neck and then strangled me. My daughter was asleep in the bed next to me. She was, around 3, 4 maybe. And it came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that. And you can prepare yourself all you want and think, oh, well, I'm going to kick someone's ass if they ever touch me. But when it comes at you that quick, you're just stunned.
It's like a shock.
Yeah. I was in total shock, and I didn't know what to do. I was all alone. And I remember posting that night in that group, and you were one of the only one who, like, was so supportive. Everyone else cast judgment and shame. And I remember one woman, I'm not going to say her name, but I know you know who I'm talking about. She said, if anything happens to you or your daughter, it's your fault. Because I didn't just, like, up and, leave we're in Florida on this island in the middle of nowhere. It was my fault.
Yeah. And it's not like, I'm not sitting here saying I know from experience, but people in that situation a lot of times can't just leave. Like, you were a stay-at-home mom. You didn't have a job, like, lined up right then and there. Certain things take time. Yeah. So, yeah, I was just like, I hope you figure it out. And, you got to get home and just, maybe this is a one-off thing or whatever. And, try this and that and counseling and, see, what it's worth to you. But yeah, I remember her saying that, and I was like, that's not
that's not how you handle this situation. And I think for me, that was the point where I was like, it kind of made me want to shut up again, because that was me reaching out for help. That was me getting victim shamed. I wanted to shut up again, but you were there to support me. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from that was you allowed me to make my own decision, because I got it from so many different directions. I had, when I finally trust someone to come out, I get, you better leave or it's your fault. You know, anything that happens to y'all is your fault, not his. It's your fault because you didn't leave. Or I was also getting, you need to stay because different reasons. Being in the South, one was Jesus hates divorce.
Yeah.
Also things like, you know, you have to stay and try to work it out for your daughter. So I was getting pulled in different directions, and you never did that. You allowed me to make my own decisions, and you supported me no matter what. And I think that went a long ways.
I've known many people who've left abusive, emotional, spouses who have money problems, gambling problems, addiction problems. And at the end of the day, everyone can give you all this advice and tell you, you do this or you do that, or you need to do this or you need to figure this out or whatever. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you. And I mean, I've had to make life decisions that, you know, are very difficult and I've asked advice for. But at the end of the day, it comes down to me. I have to make a decision. What's best for me? What's best for me and my kid? What's best for me and my future? Whatever that might be. And, you know, a lot of it is hard decisions. You know, I know someone who got a divorce. She was a stay-at-home mom and she had to get 3 jobs just to make ends meet. But, you know, that was her decision and it worked out in the end. She's remarried and all is good. So, it comes down to you got to make the decision in the end.
Absolutely. And it's not a cookie cutter decision for everyone. Everyone has a different situation on. You're over here. She's sipping her cocktail like, yeah, I just delivered a truth bomb right there, bitch. Yeah. So talking about that, I guess that leads me up to the next question, which is, and I've experienced this myself. How did you put up with my shit? And how did you stay putting up with my shit without being an asshole? And let me expand on that and explain myself, because again, I have had those quote unquote friends who were like, oh, I'm going to support you. But it takes a victim of domestic abuse, domestic violence, whatever you want to call it these days, average 7 times to leave their situation. And that can get exhausting for not only the victim, but those who are supporting her. And they're like, oh, well, she went back to him again. You know, whatever, let's write her off. I'm tired of dealing with her shit because she's so wishy-washy. It's back and forth, back and forth. You never did that with me. There was always a support no matter what. It didn't matter if I was gone once or 50 times. You always stuck by me and allowed me the room to make my own decision and support me. So how the hell do you have the patience? Because I know you're not a patient person. So how the hell did you have the patience to do that?
I think part of it was, I think you also realized that you had your boundaries of telling me stuff. With that being said, it's not like you didn't tell me stuff. You just, you know, maybe you told me something in the morning and something in the afternoon and something at night, but you weren't maybe necessarily telling me about it 24/7 to where I couldn't do what I needed to do in my life. Like, I will always be there for my friends and my family and strangers too. You know, you got to do the best you can, but at a certain point, I need to also focus a little bit on my personal life. So there was like, you told me everything. There was no limits to what you told me, but there was maybe boundaries of like, hey, listen, I got to go do this. And you're like, yeah, I got that. I understand. Another part of it was probably because maybe I didn't live down the road and maybe that helped. I don't know. I mean, I definitely, you know, I have a child of my own. So my patience is thin, but I'm an empathetic person. I care about people and I want to see the best in them. And, you know, I'll always be there for anyone and in any situation that I can be helpful. So I think there was a limit. Like, you weren't like, hey, Xtina, 24/7, 365 asking me to, listen to everything. So I think that helped. Just both people having boundaries.
For sure. All about those boundaries. I didn't unload and vent on you all the time and be negative, dark doo-doo energy Nancy over here to where it just, I guess, overwhelmed you and you were like, I can't deal anymore. Yeah, I definitely set limits on myself because I don't want anyone to do that to me. So I I don't do those things to them. So if you are in a situation and you need help, also recognize healthy boundaries and impeding on other people's personal life while, still they can support you and you can ask for that support. But I mean, let's be real too. Everyone needs some boundaries. So
yeah,
that's good info. Let's see. What's the next question? I was trying to do 5 questions, but I could only come up with 4. So we're going to skip to the next one. And that is, can you see a difference in me? And can you see a difference in the vibe in the household? Because you came down here when I was still married, he was still here. You saw the interactions between us and our daughter versus now me here, new husband, and the different life that I'm living now. And if you can expand on that, because my hopes with this podcast is reaching women who were in the same situation that I was in and giving them some kind of hope that like your life could be totally different. Unless you're just like, bitch, you're the same. You can go ahead and tell me that. But I'm hoping to offer up, what do you see as the differences between what I like to call being on the other side versus what you know and what you saw and your friendship with me before I had gotten to that other side?
Yeah, I mean, before, I feel like I hardly ever saw you smile. Obviously, I didn't realize why, or it just didn't even cross my mind. I saw you guys argue, and it was, a bit frightening. And so you see the arguments, you see like a bit of the sadness. I won't even say your house felt a little bit darker. The kid who was scared and all that. I mean, I witnessed it firsthand. I saw an argument one night and I was scared. And I told, obviously, back up. I've never experienced this. Everyone has obviously their own personal struggles, but I've seen friends on the other side and I see how different they are and how much happier they are. And I always told her, I said, obviously this decision comes down to you, but when you're on the other side, I've seen it. I've seen the light, the sparkle, the life being breathed back, into you or, people that I know. And, once the divorce went through, obviously, I'm sure there was a time of sadness and, adjustment and, figuring things out. And then, she's remarried now. And I remember, I don't know if it was a picture or a post or seeing her in person. I'm like, God, you're smiling so much more. You're smiling so much more. Like, you just seem so happy. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of her right now and it's like, your smile is so awesome. And I love this picture. And, the house seems livelier. There's a change. Certain rooms have been changed to just, represent maybe how you feel in life and change. And I don't know how to explain it, but like, before I never really noticed it, but now like I totally see like you just weren't happy. You just are good at, not letting on. Yeah. So I think I'm just trying to, in general, be more aware of people and things, and just like going back to that one girl, there was signs, but I never, you just don't pick up on it. We all have personal lives. Yeah. You scrolling on the, social media, you see, oh yeah, they're happy, whatever. But, yeah, there's a huge shift, like night and day.
For sure. Yeah. And you know what? You're not the first person to tell me that. I have had people, and they bring up the smile thing. My dad was like, you used to be so lively when you were a child and you don't smile anymore. I miss your smile. You don't. And I've noticed it because I'll go look back at pictures where I thought I was happy. Well, not happy, but, and this brings me mom guilt to say, because, oh, you got a kid, you should be happy, blah, blah, blah. When I'm doing things with my child, I'm happy, but I didn't have that smile that I have today. And other people have said that as well. They're like, you look totally different. You're smiling. Oh my gosh, you're smiling. And it's a thing. Like I feel, there's not even a word. Someone needs to invent a word, how you feel once you escape that oppressive type relationship. But it's definitely like it wasn't that I changed. At least I don't feel like it was because I changed. I feel like I was able to finally be myself.
Yeah.
So I'm everything you see is me. That's just me. I was not allowed to be. And that leads me to the last question. So, if you could give anyone advice who has a friend or a family member or a sister, or their mama's dating somebody who is an asshole, or, they're in a situation that they may feel like they can't get out of, how do you support a person like that? If you have any advice, 2 pieces of advice, whatever you got, throw it at me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with being a friend, you want to be the best friend you can be, support, offer advice, give tips, tricks, whatever. And I've said it before, at the end of the day, it's up to the person to decide to leave. If I had to give some advice, I would say you're not stuck. You can get out. Will it be hard? Yeah. Will there be issues along the way? Probably. Will you have to deal with, drama from an ex? Yeah, sure. I mean, you can deal with all of that. Or one level or another. It's not going to be easy. And like I said before, I had a friend who had to get 3 jobs, and you know what? She made it work. And I see her now, and I see her on the other side. And it's like, she is the happiest person. So while you think, there's no way out, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough support, there's government things that can help you as a mother. Don't ever feel like, leave your ego at the door. Sometimes you got to get food stamps. Sometimes you got to get government assistance. That's what it's there for. It's there for a reason. You're not abusing it. You're using it for the reason it's there for. And I think that's important to know that, it might be hard for months, for weeks, for years. It will be hard. But then, everything's going to work out in the end. Everything's going to be okay. You might meet someone new. You might move to another state and, find this great job. I mean, there's just so many choices and options, and you only have one life. You have one life. Make it count. So that would be my tips.
Absolutely. And that's some great tips, especially, like leaning on those resources that you might not want to lean on. I'm guilty of it too. My ego, that is another podcast entirely, shame and ego. I don't want to lean on resources, but I did it. It's doable. There are things out there that can help you. You're absolutely not stuck, no matter what you think, but always keep in the back of your mind, if you are, especially in a toxic relationship, safety plans, safety resources. I have them listed in the show notes. Anytime you need like domestic violence hotline, things like that, that's always in the show notes. So stay safe. And I want to thank Xtina for your time and for also being just an awesome friend. She was,
I try.
And you do an amazing job at it. She was my witness to my newest marriage. She was like the first person I was like, you got to come down here.
I signed the papers.
She signed the papers.
I was a witness.
Yes. So be an Xtina if you're listening to this and you're not in this situation, but you know someone who is in a situation that's similar or just feeling stuck anywhere, dead end job, yada, yada, yada. I always say it, just if you're feeling stuck in life. Be an Xtina and support your friends. And if you're the person that's feeling stuck in life, know that you truly aren't. You might have to make hard choices. And like Christina says, at the end of the day, those choices are your own to make. There's no cookie cutter answer. You just have to do what's best for you and your family. And there's so many different ways to go about getting to the other side. And that concludes this episode. But after I had turned the recording off, Xtina and I started having more conversations about people that we know on the other side. And I decided to turn the recording back on. So if you want to be done with the show is done. You can click off of it now. If you'd like to hear some more of these candid conversations, just keep listening. So we're talking about that Just Mommy's group that we met on. And how many women, oh my gosh, how many women that are in that group have since left their husbands and created a whole new life. And I would say it is a good chunk.
A large percentage. I would say very like large. 3/4, 2/3, 2/3, 3/4, whatever you want to. I mean, so, and again, so many people that we saw that seemed outwardly, and I am a person who loves to meet new people. So I have probably I was in 3 Just Mommy groups. You were in 1, right?
Mm.
So I've met probably 30 people from all 3 groups. So I've met a lot of them, and a lot of them, there was nothing that you noticed was wrong. And I would say a good chunk of them are divorced now and moved on.
And happy and smiling.
Yes. Like the one girl, we won't name names, but she was in a dead bedroom. If you don't know what that means, they weren't having fun together, recreational activities. And you see it, and he forgot her not even forgot her birthday, just didn't even acknowledge her birthday, not even a card. Like, I'm not materialistic. You don't have to go. You can make me a homemade card. You could draw it. That's cool to me. You remembered my birthday. But to completely think or, completely not even acknowledge your birthday, man, that's crazy. Yeah. And now she's remarried. And my gosh.
With a cowboy.
I know.
She has her a hot cowboy. And let me tell you, I don't know for sure, but I can tell from those pictures, she ain't in no dead bedroom anymore. No, they are like,
yeah, he's hot. Ain't gonna lie, he's way different from her ex-husband.
Yeah, they look so freaking happy.
There was another girl, I met her. She's beautiful, and every woman is beautiful, but she's stunning. She's tall, she's slender, blonde, like a model, like a beautiful model, and her ex was a military guy, in shape, also really good looking. And you're like, man, they are like the picture perfect couple. Mm-hmm. And they both were not happy, and they're divorced. And she's with a new guy now, also kind of like a cowboy, Southern boy. And it's amazing. I thought she was happy before, but then you see pictures now, and it's night and day, and it's hard to kind of conceptualize when you see something in real time. You're like, yeah, they're good. And then you see a lot of them have gotten remarried, and it's like night and day.
It's an entire transformation.
I'm just trying to think of who else. I know another girl, the one with the twins. Yeah, she's been married 3 times. That's her 3rd husband. And then there's someone else.
The one we were talking about earlier who... she was married to a man who was in the military, and we never knew really what was going on. But once she got her divorce, she was, of course, more talkative about it. And she used to be just like I think she was just a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. She got into the MLM. What is that?
Multi-level
marketing stuff, which I'm not going to recommend on this podcast, but holy shit, she's freaking killing it.
She's successful at it.
Very successful, super happy, married this dude, and you can tell in her pictures. It was a total transformation.
And she was worried. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was worried about money. She did multi-level marketing, which a lot of people don't agree with and don't support. And she's like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to see if I'm going to be successful. And sure enough, she is rolling in the dough. She is doing an awesome job, making a name for herself, bringing in income to support her, to have a roof over her head, food for her kids, hobbies, whatever. And good for her. I mean, it's like night and day. And you see her with this guy now, and it's like the smile. I don't know. It all comes back to that smile. Yeah. It just looks so happy. I'm trying to think if there was anyone else. The one with the twins. She's married to the karate instructor.
Oh, wow. This just makes me so happy thinking about these women. And
a lot of them.
This is going to sound horrible. Leaving their husbands and marrying a cowboy, a karate instructor. It's like, dang, they are living their best lives. And it makes me just so proud that women are at a point where they can make those choices and decisions. It's not like the 1970s where
you're stuck.
Yeah, you can't even get your own bank account. Like that seriously happened in the 1970s. If you were a woman, you had to have your husband on your bank account. You couldn't have your own bank account. And now we do have the freedom to choose. And these women we're talking about, they're not celebrities or like we keep saying, they don't have a bunch of money. Some have had to work 3 jobs or start the MLM stuff. They're just like you and I. They're normal people who made a choice, and now they truly are. I don't care how cringe and Instagram this is. They're living their best life. They are living their best life, and they have that smile. It's a smile that reaches your eyes. It's like an authentic, genuine smile. And so many women lose that, but these women are claiming it back. And I think that's just, it's so freaking inspiring to see women, just women who you would feel like, how do you do it? You're a stay-at-home mom. You've never had a job. How in the hell are you like banking right now and supporting your entire family, divorcing your asshat husband, and like marrying a cowboy and riding off into the sunset, like living the dream?
And in the end, I mean, we've known each other probably since, we say 12 years, but it's probably been more like 13, because we were pregnant, obviously 9 months prior. And all of them had to make the decision in the end. They all made it at different times. Some of them did it when their kids were young. Some of them did it when their kids were middle school. Some of them, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of them, probably because I listen to people. So I think a lot of them have talked to me about their personal situations, and I don't need to talk about it. But, there was some breaking point. And maybe that's what it comes to for a lot of people, whether it's physical, anything, addiction, this or that, forgetting your birthday, not helping around the house. There was one girl who's in a blended family. She has 2 kids. Her husband has 2 kids, and they had a son together. And she was talking about her first husband, where he would would change a dirty diaper. I mean, common sense would say, throw it in the trash can, and he would leave it on the steps. So you would actually have to cross over and be walking up the steps over a poopy diaper, and you could slip, it would smell, just like, simple things like, I'm not your mom. Like, come on, like, think about it. So she got remarried, and, all, seems well. And, there was a lot of them. Like, I'm trying to think of all of the names. The one girl had 2 children, and now she's divorced because I believe, I don't need to sit here and tell you everyone's personal lives, but, they just got together real young, and it ultimately didn't work out. It wasn't anything personal. And now, she's got a great guy, and you see the smile. It comes back to the smile.
Yeah. And it's not always about like, I know this podcast gears towards toxic relationships and abuse and things like that, but you're not stuck in a marriage, even if you think, hey, this is a good marriage. You're just not feeling that spark anymore. And no matter what you've done to try to kindle back that, I hate that phrase, rekindle that spark has worked. Because I know people who, they're like best friends. It's not a marriage anymore. It's like a friendship, but they don't want to leave because it's their friend and they feel bad and yada, yada, yada. But then I also know people who've gotten out of those friendships, because that's what it is, and they have met like lovers, and they have that passion back in their life, in their marriage, and within themselves. And to me, that's super inspiring to see. Even if you're not in this horrible toxic relationship, you're just in like a relationship that you've tried to rekindle and it's not working.
Or it's okay to give up. You're doing all the chores around the house, and your spouse doesn't help out, and you feel like you're the only one doing it. It doesn't need to be physically. It could be emotionally, mentally. You're bearing the load of everything, and they're going out spending all your money. It's all encompassing. It's like, at the end of the day, if you're not happy, then maybe you want to be alone. That's okay too.
Heck yeah. A lot of women are doing that these days. I see it like all over social media. Women are choosing not to have children and not to get married. And I'm like, you know what? that's pretty awesome.
Sounds nice sometimes. But it's like, you just got to do, at the end of the day, it's what's best for you. I don't know. I just go back to the whole, you got one life. I could go out and drive my car down the highway tomorrow and get smashed by an 18-wheeler, and that's it. And will people say that, I don't know, I was authentically me? I hope so, but I'll be dead, so I don't really have an opinion about it anymore. But, if I get a cancer diagnosis, I want to say, man, I lived my life, and I did it to the best of my ability. No one's perfect. We're not. I still do stupid stuff, but I'm happy. And we're, healthy, and, I don't know.
I absolutely feel like you do live your life. This woman has been everywhere. She travels. She does whatever she wants. She's freaking killing it in her career. She's killing it in mom life, and just she's got like her own home and acreage, and she's brewing her own beer. I mean, fucking come on, who does that? You're living your life,
doing what makes me happy.
Exactly. She's pretty fucking amazing. Everyone needs to be an Xtina. If you're not, you need an Xtina in your life. So. Yeah, I'm glad we had this conversation, and I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about, not only me, but the women who've been in our lives, who we've seen this transformation. And if you think, oh, well, if, I'm just so upset because my husband, he won't throw the freaking poopy diaper 5 feet away in the trash can, instead he leaves it on the steps. And, this is just how men are. Let me tell you, I thought that too. And my husband actually freaking cleans.
He does the dishes.
He does the dishes. I don't have to ask.
I've seen him do the dishes like 10 times since I've been here. All right.
He cleans. He cleans and he does stuff without me asking. And he is emotionally available and all that good stuff. So do not lie to yourself and say, men, this is just how men are. I promise you, it's rare that they're not, but they are out there. So please don't give yourself that excuse either if you're miserable. You can grab life by the balls. You just have to take action, and
you have to do it.
You got to do it. At the end of the day, you got to do it.
Yep.
So, all right. Cool conversation. I have no idea how much of this is going to get edited, but I think it was fun to do. And hopefully y'all had gotten something out of this. So
deuces.
Deuces. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show, please leave a rating, a review. And if you know anyone who also might love the show or who could benefit from this information, please be sure to share it and subscribe. The more we get this out to people, the more people we can help. And I truly believe there's so many women who need to hear these words, because so many women are feeling stuck. Also, if you're looking for me, you can usually find me on the gram at author Kat Adams, and be sure to head over to my website, and that's Kat Adams, Adams with a double D's.com. Subscribe to my newsletter for the latest information. Also, when you subscribe, you're going to get a free novella. And just be forewarned, my raunchy rom-com is as dirty as my mouth. So if that's your thing, go for it. It's super hilarious. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, please stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side.